They tell us to trust. They tell us to believe. And when we question, they call us traitors.
Welcome, citizens, Helldivers, and anyone brave enough to think for themselves. This is T3 of the FTK-Collective. Super-Earth is under attack. The so-called indestructible bastion of freedom now faces the unthinkable. A threat it thought could never reach its doorstep. But was this truly unexpected or without a foreseeable consequence for reckless imperialistic actions? Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of Super-Earth's most dangerous weapons, propaganda. To understand how it becomes reality, we'll explore two destructive concepts that fuel Super-Earth's decline: the Dictator's dilemma and the tragedy of the commons. Let's begin. The dictator's dilemma is simple. If you rule through fear and control, people will lie to survive. And over time, people lose the ability to tell the truth from a lie. Super-Earth is deep in this dilemma. How can you govern an empire where loyalty is demanded and not earned? Where democracy officers patrol free speech zones? Where elections always have one outcome? You can't. So the Federation creates its own truth. Fabricated news, staged footage, official citizen testimonies. And the more people repeat it, the more it feels real. But here's the twist. The Federation isn't just fooling us, it's fooling itself. It's drowning in a sea of false reports, inflated success rates, and delusional mission briefings. Because no one dares to report failure, no one dares to question the system. And that's the dictator's dilemma. The more power you have, the harder it is to hear the truth. Super-Earth is losing ground on all fronts against enemies created through its own arrogance and greed. Originally farmed for E710, the Terminids were genetically altered to boost productivity, making them stronger but also vastly more aggressive. When containment failed, they escaped. Super-Earth labeled them mindless killers bent on human extinction, and through years of exploitation, that prophecy became true. Before the First Galactic War, the human predecessors to cyborgs were enslaved and forced into brutal labor on Cyberstan. They tried to alleviate their suffering through body augmentation, a desperate measure quickly demonized by Super-Earth. Their call for secession was met not with diplomacy, but total war. They became violent and chaotic not by nature, but because Super-Earth left them no other path. They extended a hand of peace, but Super-Earth struck first. They justified a preemptive strike with vague claims of weapons of mass destruction. This led to the near genocide of the Illuminate population at the hands of Super-Earth. Why? Because the Federation feared their power and craved their technology. Those who survived retreated, rebuilt, and returned stronger than ever. Now they wield the Meridian Singularity, destroying planets one by one. And yet, Super-Earth's narrative remains the same. The enemies are irrational. Victory is certain. The Federation is righteous. But is it? The Federation's broadcasts don't even try to hide what they are. For example, this is a subtle footnote which can be seen below most official broadcasts.
All content contained within Super Earth broadcasts is true and irrefutable. Citizens who express opinions in relation to broadcasts, including but not limited to concern, discontent, anger, doubt, fear, disillusionment, confusion, helplessness, inadequacy, or anything less than overwhelming patriotism, will be punished to the full extent of the law. Serious cases may result in arrest, relocation, or termination.
The Freedom Act of 2184 gave rise to institutions like the Center for Civilian Surveillance and Safety. Its job? Monitor speech, scan networks, and isolate wrong thinkers. If you wonder whether the Terminate War was staged, you're a sympathizer. If you ask for peace with the cyborgs, you're a hippie. If you express sympathy for the Illuminate, you're already under mind control. This is not speculation. This is from the Ministry of Unity. What they call freedom is enforced by loyalty officers, surveillance drones, and public executions. Even children are taught to report their parents if they overhear unpatriotic thoughts. Freedom dies in silence, but here silence is enforced at gunpoint. Now let's talk about the tragedy of the commons.
Originally, this theory was about farmers. Each one grazed their cows on a shared pasture. But if everyone added just one more cow, the field would collapse. Everyone thought, my extra cow won't affect it. But together they destroyed the system. The Federation's version of this isn't about grass, it's about war.
Each general thinks one more campaign won't break the system. Each political figure thinks one more attack is worth the sacrifice. But together they've consumed entire sectors, thinking it won't break the system. But the system is breaking. Just look at Angel's Venture, or Moradash, or what remains of Meridia, all fallen victim to counterattacks by the Federation's enemies. But what happens when we run out of enemies? This is something Super-Earth is surely aware of. An authoritarian system like the one on Super-Earth needs enemies for stability, because without a real and existential threat, the population won't accept their sacrifices anymore. That's why Super-Earth doesn't run out of enemies, it just creates new ones. Listen to these quotes.
Remember, it's not that Super-Earth hates aliens. It's that aliens hate freedom. Do not think of rebels as fellow humans. If our ideals are alien to them, then they are aliens to us.
Heroes report. Cowards stay silent.
This system isn't about safety, it's about control. It builds a culture where obedience is the only virtue. You are free because you are told you are free. So the only ones who can speak are us, the fringe, the doubters, the question askers, you. This isn't just a story about deception, it's about what happens when the lie becomes the system. When a system becomes so massive, so self-justifying, so automated, that truth becomes irrelevant. Could this be the mistake that caused the downfall of Super-Earth? The Federation built its dominance on certainty. Certainty that every war was justified, that every enemy was evil, that victory was always going to happen. But certainty is a dangerous illusion. Could this invasion have been prevented if officials had not silenced divergent opinions? If they had listened to warnings instead of branding them as dissident thoughts? If they had not fallen victim to their own carefully crafted lies? These are questions they will never ask, because in a system built on propaganda, even the powerful eventually become prisoners of it. This is T3 of the FTK-Collective. Stay active, stay curious, stay vigilant.